Good morning, hello, hi, and salutations. Welcome to Basic Public Speaking. I'm Christy Thomas. I'm your professor instructor for this course. This is a video chat that's going to cover week 6, 7, 8, and these are the weeks prior to ACTC's fall break. ACTC's fall break falls on October the 13th through the 17th, so there will be no coursework. I will be posting nothing. No activity will be happening online for these courses, so we just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And the reason why I'm making this video is that when I open up the modules for week 6, I'm going to open up all the modules for week 6, 7, 8 because they all work together cohesively, and this way you can check them out because you'll only have one speech due during week 6, 7, 8, and it comes at the end of week 8. So by October the 10th at 5 p.m., your second main speech is due, which is an informative how-to, and all this stuff really coincides with this and builds us up for future speeches as well, because again, remember, we're building foundations. So week 6, 7, and 8 are the dates September 22nd through October the 10th. That's 3 weeks worth of modules that I'll be opening up at once. Week 6 modules lesson is called presentation, and this basically talks about intro, conclusions, and just the body flow of a speech. And it really centers and narrows into how to effectively create an attention-worthy intro for a speech, like attention-seeking, attention-gathering. And then it also talks about how to wrap it all up cohesively, conclusion. And then just the flow itself, this is just your main points in transition. So, and I'll talk about it in depth and more in the lessons, but 3 is a really a magical number, 3 to 5. I say 3 when it comes to public speaking for main points like A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. You don't have to label it, of course, but in your mind, if you're creating main points, like say you're telling someone how to bake something, gather your ingredients, prep it, bake it, ta-da! So it just kind of discusses how to smoothly transition from point to point without it being, okay, in step 1, we're going to do this, and in step 2, that's all this really talks about. It's just the presentational portion of public speaking, how to gain attention, how to effectively, smoothly flow from all your main points, and then how to wrap it up cohesively and effectively to leave a lasting impression when it comes to your speeches. So that's week 6. Those dates are September 22nd through the 26th. Week 7 is September the 29th through October the 3rd. And that lesson is presentational visual aids. All it does is discusses how to use presentational visual aids in public speaking. Now, I personally feel, and this is my opinion, take it for what you will, visual aids, you can get really creative when you're using presentation visual aids when you're doing electronic mediated speeches. And that's what we do in this course. You record, I am your audience, yay hooray. So you can get really creative, and it gives examples. And the best examples I can use is think of how-to videos that you may find on YouTube and social media, or even like cooking shows. Those are great use of visual aids because you see the ingredients, you see them doing the step-by-steps. All this falls into it as well. So that's effective because your second main speech, that's again due at the end of week 8, one of the technical requirements is use of a visual aid. This is the only speech this entire semester that requires the use of a visual aid. So that lesson really discusses how you can use visual aids and the various ways to use them, especially in electronic media communication. So that's for that week. And then that leads us into week 8, which at the end of week 8, and these dates are October 6th to the 10th, the week prior to ACTC's fall break. At the end of week 8 is your second main speech, which is a how-to informative speech is due, and the details are for that in a module, and I'm not going to discuss the details for that in this because we're just discussing the lessons that are being opened up. And I'm going, like I said, when I open up for week 6, this video will go up and remain open. until after we return from fall break. But the lesson that week is MLA, in-speech citations. That really comes into effect your third main speech, but really your final main speech, which is a persuasive speech in this course that will be due in December. Technical requirements involve 2 in-speech citations. And MLA is the written form of in-speech citations. Pretty straightforward. So if you've ever had to do a research paper or a book report and use a bibliography, that's what MLA is. And I always just do MLA. I don't do APA. I don't do Chicago style. I just do MLA because when you create your outlines for the third and fourth main speech, which is your final 2 main speeches, you will be required to add a works cited, and we're using MLA citation. But with those lesson modules, really the MLA, it just shows you ways, it shows you how to cite. And then it talks about in-speech citations. I'm going to try to maybe create a module with examples, but the best example for in-speech citations, think of watching the news or listening to news broadcasters and some podcasters as well. They may quote someone. It could be a verbal quote from someone that they're interviewing or someone that the piece is about, or it could be a bit of information about something, but they can effectively use in-speech citation. Think of, according to the Surgeon General, da-da-da-da-da. It's just great examples is news broadcasts. Local news, national news, whatever you prefer news. If you don't like the news, I get that too. But that's the great, there's some podcasters that are really great at using quotations as well, or in-speech citations. And in-speech citations is if you're putting out information that's not originally yours. So we've talked about contextual support, and that's just the information to support your claim or your idea or what your speech is about, your speech purpose. So in-speech citations just kind of follows that. So perhaps you're doing one on the effects of a certain tooth, like brushing your teeth. So you can use your in-speech citations would be quoting the American Dental Association. You know, they always 3 out of 5 dentists recommend, or 4 out of 5 dentists recommend, or how this is effective, or this works. That's what we're talking about with in-speech citations. You could be given a quote from someone on a speech, according to professor of numerology. I'm making up things here just to give you an idea. But that really talks about that. And I'm going to try to work on some examples in a module to go along with that. But again, I'm just making this video to let you know that this is just discussing, I'm going to open up week 6, 7, and 8 all together. So when you click on the blackboard, don't be alarmed by the amount of lessons that are open up. This is covering 3 weeks, because the beauty is that with all this, you have more space time to look over things, but I'm also allowing more time, because when I open all this up, I'm also opening the module for the second main speech, which is the informative how-to. That gives you more time to work, because it does require more technical requirements, such as, well, obviously the video of yourself delivering the speech. That's a given across the board every time. You will be driven crazy by how many times I will say that, type that, put that out into the world. Anyway, let's move forward. This is all in the module as well, but you'll have an outline due. And remember, we've already done organization outlining module, and there is a basic template. And I am a huge fan, big fan. I will support this 1000%. Use tools readily available to you. I provide an outline. I'm not saying you have to use the outline that I provide. You can create your own outline. Whatever's easiest for you and whatever you prefer. Whatever your cup of tea is, I support. When it comes to MLA citation and works cited, because works cited comes into play when you get into the third and fourth main speeches. There are apps and there are websites that you literally, it's a plug and chug situation. You put in the information and it generates the citation for you. And then you can copy and paste it and put it at the bottom of you don't have to create its own document. It can just be copy and pasted to put at the bottom of the outline. Again, I am a big fan of using components that make life easier and less chaotic. I'm a big fan of less chaotic. So with that being said, I'm not against you using tools available to you. So, again, week 6 through the 8th, that's September the 22nd through October the 10th. That's 3 weeks worth of lessons and modules, and it's just covering the flow of presentations, using visual aids, and then citation, in-speech citations. Your main speech 2 is due at the end of week 8. You'll have a video of yourself delivering the speech, an outline due. Both of those will have separate links in that module. Again, make it easier. Other technical requirements is there is a visual aid due. This is the only speech a visual aid will be required. And then there's not really, there will never be a time limit on like a max time limit, but we start seeing minimum time limits now. Like, I would love for you to hit, and I also don't want you to freak out, because if I say 2.5 minutes minimum, if you go right below 2, I'm not going to be like, oh, that's awful. Nay. No, it's when we start only hitting 20 or 30 seconds in your speech. Again, and that's why we do the prep work by saying it out loud or recording yourself first giving the speech, so that you have a better idea of pacing and time. Because a lot of these problems, if you're only getting 30-40 seconds worth of a speech in, a lot of these problems can be resolved, or issues, I don't even say problems, these issues can be resolved in our pacing. Take the beat, take the moment, be for effectiveness. And also, this is a discussing presentation because it's part of the flow, you know. Anywho, so that's the information for weeks 6, 7, and 8. When I open up for week 6, all these modules will be open. This video will be open discussing, and we'll just work through with weekly videos. Then we go into fall break. And again, I will not be posting or doing anything during ACTC's fall break, October 13th through the 17th. With that being said, at this point, at the end of week 8, you will have had 2 main speeches due, 1 storytelling speech due, the check-in, and the canon. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assignments will be due on Blackboard. I will not have all 5. I will probably, I don't know if I will get to grading the second main speeches during fall break. We shall see. With that being said, if you have any questions or concerns or just need to chat, please reach out to me and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. I hope that you have an amazing day and a fabulous week. Thank you so much. Bye.